Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Black Mirror, Season 4, Episode 5. It is called Metalhead. So, full spoilers for the episode, as always. And it is not about metal music, which I think the
It's a
title
shame.
the title kind of implies it might be, because you think of a metalhead, you think of head banging and guitars,
I'd have,
and
I'd have been down for that.
it would have been an interesting thing, sure.
Maybe next season.
But no, what we actually have instead is a black and white post-apocalyptic world where the gist of the plot is really quite simple. A security robot that is called a dog because it walks on all fours and has a kind of
Got a
dog-like,
doggish shape.
yeah, doggy
Yeah.
shape. I mean, that's not super doggy, but it's, I mean, you could, if you called it a cat, I'd have equally accepted that as
Sure.
as the thing. Or, hell, pick any four-legged animal about that size. Like,
I assume because were traditionally used in tracking.
yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, that'll be why they specifically picked it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting little bit of trivia though. You know how like you get digital on-screen graphics for like TV channels, they call that the dog.
Yeah.
That's the acronym. They picked that acronym because the old way before it was digital it was called CAT because it was like I can't remember what it stood for, but it was an acronym it happened to mean cat. So when they picked the new one, they specifically went for one that said dog.
I love it when people do that where they're like, no, we want this acronym to say a certain thing, so it's saying this, damn it.
Yeah, yeah. Random bit of trivia for you, but hey, so. Yeah, Metalhead. Interestingly, before I watched this, I was aware that this was the lowest rated one on IMDb in terms of the averages.
Oh, I was not.
I was
Okay.
aware of that going in, which was a little disheartening because just from the clip from like that first teaser, I was like, oh, black and white, oh, robot
It
dog.
stands out, doesn't
I
it?
was like, oh, I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, so I was like, okay, we'll see if I line up with this consensus, if you want to call it that. And yeah, so how did you feel?
I think it's definitely the thinnest episode of Black Mirror. There's a reason it's the shortest,
There's not a lot of plot, that's true.
but I love the filmmaking.
Yeah, it's basically one person, a woman named Bella, running from this robot dog who's tracking her. And there's not a lot of information as to how the world is this way, although I'm tempted to speculate that it's something to do with the robot dogs all becoming too good at their job.
Something AI related by the look of it, maybe.
It was towards the end when you see how many of them are, I'm like, okay, they're probably the reason why this world's like this.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pure speculation
But I
because
mean,
it doesn't give you a lot.
they're clearly the symptom of something else. But they seem to be more the enforcers of something rather than the thing
Oh,
itself.
yeah, sure. I think, yeah, just AI in general. You
Yeah.
could argue that the AI is in them as well, that they all have equal AI, or
Yeah, could be
not necessarily a hive mind per se, but just the
connected
idea
in some
that
way.
they're
Yeah.
all equally just part of the system,
Yeah.
or something like that. I don't know. But so yeah, so you don't get a whole lot. You get this group of characters. You get Bella, the woman, with two guys who are pulling over to this warehouse to try and grab something, and they're being very cautious. They're throwing rocks to see if there's any reaction or anything like that. And they creep in. One guy is trying to hack into the smart van.
Van.
It's
Yeah.
got it's a smart car. It's got the actual display and all that. And he's trying to hack into it so they can have this car as well. The other two are going in and they're getting something for someone who is dying, someone who only has a few days to live. So because they even question why are we even doing this? It's dangerous, and this person's going to die. And they're like, no, if this is going to make his last few days easier, we're going to do it.
Yeah.
And you don't know what it is. Again, we don't actually find it until the very end of the episode what it
It's the
was.
final shot. Yeah.
Yeah. Or obviously there's more information based on the final shot, like what type of person this is. But they're in here at the box, they're looking for it to get it, and she's got like a specific number written down her arm. And I thought that was also, it made sense again at the end, but I was like, that's curious. Who has this specific knowledge that they have the exact number the box will have on it in this warehouse?
Yeah.
It actually makes a lot of sense when you find out what it is, because you get where they got the number from. But it's just, they're looking for this box, and behind the box, though, there's this sleeping robot dog that as soon as it detects motion, wakes up and it kind of sets off this little mini explosion of shards. And I actually guessed right away these shards were trackers. Like, it didn't matter where you go, these things tracked you. Because at first I thought, maybe it just killed the guy who was in front of it, but then he gets up quite quickly.
And then stabs the dude.
And yeah, that's the thing. And then he gets his head, just smush.
It's pretty glorious.
I will say I enjoyed the only two or three, but very brutal moments of gore I did quite enjoy.
They were effective because there wasn't loads of them, but whenever they were there, they were like, "Oh, that was good."
Because the other one was that one of the dog legs kind of shoots like a concentrated shotgun blast, and it basically makes the other guy's head explode. Because He chases them in the van. And what I thought was interesting, actually, is that guy in the van could have just stayed in the van and just went unnoticed, potentially.
Yeah, but he didn't realise that, I don't think.
Yeah, because then that's the reason why the dog wants to chase him, and it gets in the van and it goes through the window and bashes him. Then it hacks the van so it can drive the van. It's got RoboCop tech where it just sticks like a little USB kind of stick thing. And
yeah, pretty much. You've got a robot dog driving a van, chasing a woman in a car.
Yes.
Why do people hate this?
I have a few reasons why people might not like it. I think I do.
I'm being facetious, damn it.
Because it is all just one big chase sequence, and I think where it falls down, because I like how it looks, I like the feeling of the world. This is a pure tone in action episode. It's all about feeling the emptiness of the world that's around her. It's all about feeling that fear, and just the idea that these little robot dogs are our overlords, and they're just going to murder us on sight.
It feels very European horror.
Yeah, no, I can see that. I think maybe where it falls down, and I like it a lot, but I think maybe where it falls down is that I did think the ending was a bit like, oh, that's it. It just kind of suddenly comes to an end, basically, without much of a... I mean, arguably finding out who the thing was for and what the thing in the box was, arguably is the closest thing you have to a twist or a reveal or anything like that.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be kind of jarring because it's all episodes you're like, okay, she's going to make it. She's doing well, she's outsmarting it, but ultimately it ends in failure.
It ends in failure, which I think is fine, but I think we needed more context for the failure to mean something.
No, I get you. I think this might play better on a rewatch when, obviously we get this information at the end. We know why they're doing all this. So maybe once you know that before, it would play a bit better.
Here's the thing. I'm all for withholding most of the information. I like that it doesn't tell us much about the world or why it's this way. I like that it kind of, like, when she calls back to base, she eventually gets away and there's, like, scenes where she's, like, high off the car and the dogs get in the car and then she gets out and the whole thing falls and that's, like, buys her a little bit of time. Like, and she like cuts out her tracker out the leg because she got one when it exploded in the warehouse. Like, I like all this stuff, and I like that it doesn't tell us stuff. And she calls like base, wherever base is, and they don't even talk back to her. They just give like a tone to let her know that they can hear her. And she's like, okay, she tells all this stuff. Okay, this is what's happening. I'm going to try and get back, but I need to try and lose it first. I need to make sure it's not following me back to base, and so on. And later on, she calls him again when she realizes that everything's for nothing. Like she has no chance of surviving now. More on that when we get there, but. And I'm like, okay, I like that we're not seeing anyone else. I like that it's purely just down to her. At the same time, though, I feel like by the end, when it does just suddenly end with her... Because I was legitimately shocked when because our big moment happens where she goes to kill herself because she realises she can't go back now without being tracked.
Yeah.
Because when the dog finally explodes all its last little shards, all the trackers, it goes in all over her face. She's about to cut them out, and then she notices there's one right here in her neck.
Yeah.
Right next to the jugular. And she's like, I can't take these out without
that's it. I'm done for.
So, and obviously when the camera goes away after she does this, you see all the dogs coming towards the house. So you knew, like the cavalry was called in.
Yeah, she had no chance.
And so, and I liked everything up until this point. I liked the survival elements. I liked her like hiding in the tree from it. I liked her getting into this house and finding just 2 shotgun shells. So she knew there was a shotgun somewhere in the building. And she went looking for it, and you see whoever lived here like killed themselves because of the way the world was going. And I liked all these survival elements, so like just like getting little scrapes of things. It's very Last of Us.
Like getting the keys from through the like letterbox almost.
All those things. It's very very survival horror, right? And that's definitely my kind of thing. But when the camera goes away at the end, and I was like, oh, I wonder how much of this episode's left. And I checked, and it was like 2 minutes left on runtime. I went, what, really? Nothing more. We're ending just with her offing herself, and sure, we find out what's in the box, and I knew that's where we were going with the camera. Like we were sort of retracing our steps all the way back to
it was going backwards
to the warehouse. You see like all the dogs are in all the different locations for the most part, and all the rest of it. And you get back there, and you see that in the box was teddy bears. It was a gift. It was a child was dying, and she was getting a toy for him. But from the sounds of it from the start, it's not her child, it's her, like, maybe niece or nephew. Nephew was a boy's name. I think it was Graham, if I remember right. But because she said she promised someone she'd look after them.
She did, yeah.
Yeah, so it was definitely it was more of an honourable thing for
Mm-hmm.
someone else she cared about.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm sure she cared about the kid as well, but like,
Yeah, but it wasn't her kid was the point here.
Yeah.
I think that's supposed to add an extra weight. It's she's not doing this just for her own family. It's okay, no, it's supposed to be like, no, she's just a good person in this world.
Yeah, no, I mean that's fine. I think it's just
No, I know.
When it ends and like she's killed herself and that's the end of the episode basically. I was like, okay, so there wasn't really any kind of like message or twist. I mean, oh sure, like yeah, technology can go bad and take over.
No,
but,
no, absolutely. That's why I said at the start. I think this is definitely the thinnest episode. There
Yeah.
not really a plot other than this chase. There's no deeper meaning really to read into in the same way that other episodes have.
Yeah, see, I feel horrible for saying this because I feel like I'm asking for something more generic by doing it, but I feel like it ends in such an anticlimactic kind of way that I almost wish that no, there was a risk that one of the dogs got the location for the base and she had to take out the dog with her last kind of action or something to. And
Okay.
it sounds very generic, sort of this is how you do end your action movie kind of thing, and I agree it does just when I say it out loud like that. But I'm just thinking of like.
I get what you're saying, but then I'm going, is that really any better just to be generic?
In this case, it might be just because
Maybe.
honestly, it's not even the problem that I have a problem with her having to kill herself because okay things are compromised. I think my problem is that the moment that it happens, where the thing comes up and then it's just so sudden and quick, and maybe that's the point. But I just kind of felt like, oh, okay, it's all over then. There was no build up to like realizing she might be screwed here. It was just no, she's screwed now.
Yeah, I think that is the point. Like you say, you say you think it is. I think it is in the sense that it's like, okay, no, it doesn't matter how hard you try. Sometimes you just, oh shit.
Yeah, in this world, things can just things can just go like that. Like,
yeah, you don't notice until it's too late, and it's like by the time it's too late, that's it. There's nothing you can do about it.
I can't click with that hand, so I did that afterwards.
It was really noticeable.
I'm sure it was, but I wanted to correct it. And, no, I can do that. I just can't, for some reason I can't do it as well with my hand. But
no. I think it's to apply it to the technology in some way. The idea with if we're going with AI, the idea of okay, we're pushing it along and we're being cautious, I suppose, but maybe it comes a point where it's like, oh, hang on, it's too far, too late, nothing we can do.
Yeah. See, I think in theory I like the idea of it making that point where it's sudden. I think though, because we've only spent such a focused, condensed amount of time with her, that it doesn't feel satisfying as a viewer to just end this story. I think if this had been a TV show that had been going for seasons and then one of our characters died like this, and it set up the world for everyone else, it'd have purpose. But being the end of its sole story, it just kind of feels like, okay.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
Whereas if this was in a TV show where it was like other characters were going to outlive her that we're going to follow, and now we'd understand how dangerous it is, it would serve a really big purpose. But as an end of its own story, I think it's where it maybe falls a little bit flat.
No, I agree. The ending is definitely the weakest point. But ultimately, I enjoy. It's.
Oh, I did too.
It's about 50 minutes. Give it 40 minutes.
42.
Is it? 42, and maybe the death happened 3 minutes from the end. So that's a good 38, 39 minutes where I was like, oh, I'm really into this.
Oh yeah, everything, sneaking about the house, coming back out to the car, playing the music, luring the dog back out, getting one blast off, but it's not quite dead.
Yeah, the car not starting felt like a callback to episode 3.
It kind of did, although I don't have a problem with it in this because I get the sense that in this episode that car's been sitting there for years.
Yeah.
Not being used, so I'm not surprised that it's not starting. I think that's a fair assumption in this world. Yeah. I liked the robot dog's vision. I liked that it was basically the Terminator, but with a little dog. I'll take it.
I did really like the POV shots from the dog. I thought those were a lot of fun. They had a nice style.
Yeah, they felt atmospheric. Give you a sense of its presence. Just to go back to what's going on in this world, I do want to. We would say an AI, and I think that AI is a valid thing. I want to also just throw out there that I'm not sure. I think the other possibility is maybe that it's not AI that's went. Because I think when you say AI, you think, oh, it's like Skynet, where it's decided to take everyone out and that. I think there's actually a possibility here where the dogs are programmed to be literally watchdogs. There might be security guards for things.
Yeah.
But then something went wrong, and they just see every single person as a
threat.
As a threat.
Yeah. Of course, there's also the other. I mean, just because we don't see it doesn't mean it's not happening. Someone could be controlling these dogs.
I get no sense of that, but yeah, I can see.
I got no sense, but I'm just saying, they could be.
I feel like what's the purpose of one person wanting to do this
No,
to
no,
the
it's a
planet?
valid question.
Yeah. Unless it's only like are the East doing this to the West? Is the West a desolate wasteland, but the East are all fine? They're all doing
it
great.
could
Maybe
be.
if we saw that, okay, I'd accept that. But
Yeah. I know.
I think as it is, it's just
There's maybe interesting things it could have played with on that, but that wasn't really the point. The point was kind of just a tone mood episode of like, nah, let's just do a visual showcase for once.
it's a visual showcase. I guess if you want to try and analyze it and give it a bit more weight to it, I guess you could argue that the entire thing represents just slightly outpacing technology, and then one day it's just going to be there. And wrong finger, wrong hand again. Don't do.
One day you'll start with the right hand.
It's because I'm right-handed, so I naturally go at that first.
I think it's weird that if you're right-handed, that you struggle with the right hand more.
I don't know what it is. It's just this is right, this is left.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It just is. It's always been that way. I don't know why.
One of mine's better than the other, but I'm right-handed as well. My right hand is much better at clicking. So I'd assumed that was just because I'm right-handed, but you clearly screwed that theory up.
If I'm going to speculate, this was I guess why your right hand's better. Is that I use my right hand to touch way more things, so my skin on these fingers isn't as snappy.
Yeah, but it's not about the friction in your skin. It's about the force of the movement that you put into it with your fingers. Like it's about the control of your fingers. So in reality, your dominant hand should be better.
What can I tell you?
I don't know.
What can I tell you? I mean, this makes sense enough, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't apply.
It doesn't. So robot dogs.
Robot dogs. No, I liked how it was shot. I specifically liked the stuff in the car when she was just dodging it and like getting the blast off, and she was trying to reload really quickly because it's like you only get one shell at a time, and she was like really struggling to get it in, and she just got it off after it cut her leg. By the way, that was brutal.
Yeah.
So no, I liked all that stuff. As an action showcase, and mostly silent, which I liked. I liked that it was mostly without dialogue because once she's on her own, it's like okay.
She's got no one to talk to really, other than 3 or 4 points on the radio at most.
Yeah,
where she tries it.
But I liked that. I liked all the problem solving. I liked finding derelict houses and like okay. So
I loved the way it looked. When she's in the tree and the edit, it cuts to nighttime, and it just you can tell it's night even though it's black and white. It just looks different. It's got a real nice tone to it.
Of course, you could tell it's night and
no,
black
I know,
and white.
But what I mean is not just okay, it's light and darker, but just in terms of even before you see anything else, because you're still just kind of on the tree, and immediately it's clear.
Of course it is. I don't understand why it wouldn't be clear. You can tell it's night or day in an old black and white movie.
You can, but it's usually not as distinct as this. This was very, very harsh.
Okay.
Did you not feel like very high contrast in the difference?
It didn't stick out to me, but I mean.
Okay, it really stuck out to me that transition.
That's just weird. It's like you come in here and telling me, "Oh, the camera moved right to left. Sometimes it moved. The camera moved." As if that's something new. that's what that
Hey,
sounded
sometimes
like.
camera movements are nice.
Oh, they are. So they're very nice. I like a lot of handheld in this, of course, which I quite liked.
Yeah.
Like I say, I do like the whole idea of like. And this is very obviously just any sort of post-apocalyptic thing, but especially in this case where it's a complete mystery as to what happened, I feel like the idea of finding derelict places and just discovering what maybe went on here, and we don't find out anything specifically about what caused anything, but just the mere fact that we see a couple that have killed themselves tells you the world was spiraling downwards quite quickly, and they made a choice to end it. So it tells you how bad it was. It tells you how maybe tells you something about the people who are still around. They're struggling to survive through this, even though some people just checked out. Some people just said, no, it's not worth trying.
I thought it was interesting that they didn't seem that decomposed. So this seems maybe it wasn't too long ago that all this went to shit.
Yeah.
Or either that, or they just they tried to get through it for as long as they could and gave up recently-ish.
Oh yeah, the suicide might have been recent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. But no, I think the black and white was a good choice. I think the black and white adds a lot to this type of story where it's supposed to feel cold and empty. I think black and white does that really well. It makes it feel otherworldly.
Definitely.
Because naturally we don't see in black and white.
Yeah.
So
cool if we could. Not all the time. Just if you had a filter, just
you could turn it on and off.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Right.
Could.
Sure.
Not if we did. Obviously, color for the most part is better.
Yeah. Is this just so people wouldn't tell you're ginger?
I feel like ginger permeates black and white anyway. You can just tell.
Although that scene in Schindler's List where you see the red coat, everything else is black and white, but you still see the ginger.
Yeah, exactly. You can't block this out.
I'm so tempted to like turn your half black and white, but keep the orange up and see if it works.
Little experiment for you.
It'll probably take too long, so I won't bother. But no. Naturally, this is the shortest discussion we've had of Black Mirror this season because it was the shortest episode, and it definitely has the least amount of stuff to talk about.
Yeah, but this thing up until the very ending, I enjoyed it. So
so did I.
I maybe enjoyed this more than some of the other ones.
I enjoyed this more than 2 and 3 for sure.
Okay.
I like this more because it was more of a visual showcase. And actually, David Slade, who directed this, has directed a number of TV episodes from a number of different things. Interestingly, he also directed one of the Twilight movies, and it's kind of funny because the main character's name is Bella. And I don't think that's an intentional thing.
I'm sure it's not. Yeah.
I can't imagine he wants to be connected to Twilight for all his career, but
Well, I mean that's up on his filmography forever now. He has to live with that.
I'm sure he got paid.
I bet he did. I bet he got paid a shitload. Bet it was worth it.
Well, I think when you're hiring people to direct Twilight, you have to pay them a lot just so they'll do it. Like, I'm not doing Twilight.
Yeah,
movie.
no one goes, oh yeah, I really want to direct Twilight. They're like, all right, Mel, how much?
Yeah, so a reasonable paycheck, I imagine, was in it. But no, so I think Metalhead's a solid watch. It's a solid episode. I think it fails to like capture a lot of what Black Mirror does for some of its better episodes.
Yeah,
but it's a solid action.
It's an enjoyable watch, even if it's not an enjoyable dissection in the way other episodes are.
Yeah. Like I say, we sort of like picked out a few things that we could maybe speculate about the world and maybe representing technology and things like that. But it's a later episode in that sense. So hey, let us know what you think of this one in the comments below. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on the Twitters at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the channel, head over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv. You can do that. There'll be a link in the description as well as some other useful links. But otherwise, that is us. So thank you once again for watching. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla?